Hi, you're watching this video because on Google you typed in this question: why are Christians hypocrites? So I think that I'm very qualified to answer this question, and I'm going to answer it from three different aspects. So why are Christians hypocrites? Let's get started with the first one, and that is, obviously, as human beings, whether you're a Christian or not, you're not perfect. And that's a major part of what the Christian belief teaches, is that we were all born with the sin nature, so therefore we're not perfect. And it's a matter of being very aware of that so that we can improve and change and ask for forgiveness and change our ways, right? So the whole concept of this is to acknowledge our depravity, right? With that being said, because we are not perfect, we're also in transition, right? Oh, I guess they found out about some of my sins. But it's kind of like a doctor or a lawyer, you know. He practices law, he practices medicine. And I think it's the same thing. Like, you have to say that they practice Christianity, because there is no such thing as a perfect Christian, obviously. So you're going to see mistakes happen. And it may not be major things like, it's probably not going to be major things like he cheated on his wife, he murdered someone. You know, it's probably not going to be obvious things. It's going to be more like pride, because that's something people overlook. The Bible often, regularly, consistently speaks against gossip, speaks against pride. Like, that's one of the major things that that Christianity teaches against, right? But instead, it's easier to get caught up on other stuff that are those easier to put a finger on things. But when it comes to pride, that's where I think things get a little bit, it just makes it to where, as a person, you can't always tell when you're being arrogant necessarily or prideful. You can't always know that. You can't always tell when you're being selfish, right? There's that saying, I think on the Big Bang Theory, well, if I knew I was wrong, don't you think I'd know it? It's kind of one of those things, you know? And so as a Christian, you have to be mindful of, God, what do you need to make me aware of today? How am I being selfish today? That's a daily conversation that I have with God, because I'm so aware of that. So my first reason why Christians aren't perfect is because you're seeing imperfect people practicing something that is against our own nature. To not be selfish, to not have pride, that is against our nature. And I think we'd all have to agree on that, right? I mean, the first person who says, oh, I'm perfect, I don't struggle with pride, I don't struggle with greed or being selfish or gossip, well, then you're in denial, and you're proving that very point, right? So when you see these millions of people calling themselves Christians, they're all struggling with something. It could have been one of those things, it could have been something else. Everyone's struggling all day long. And even if you are, think, well, I don't have any issues, I'm good, I'm not breaking the rules, well, then you're, I guess by default, dealing with pride and combating pride is going to be the thing there. So as maybe you're not a Christian, you see, well, he's a Christian, but look what he does. It could be, I'm not excusing what that Christians do. I'm just saying you might be seeing something that they're not, that they do need to be made aware of. I don't know. But that's the first thing. Number two is, it's easy to say, well, Christians are hypocrites. Look what all the stuff they do. But I think we have to consider that there is relative morality involved here. Because just like I was saying a second ago, when you have certain people doing certain things that they may seem wrong or greedy. Like, for example, what if you're a Christian salesman, okay? And you're aggressive, therefore you're good at your job. Or you're a lawyer and you're good at your job, but you're a Christian. Well, to some, that person may seem immoral or wrong or selfish. Or are they greedy? I mean, and it's funny because I've worked in sales, so I know that, like, you don't want to take advantage of people, but you also want to earn a living. And so there's all these relative things. You may see one person that you think, oh, that's a good person, they don't do anything wrong. But what about gossip? You know, I think one of the most natural, easiest things to do that Christianity teaches us against is to gossip. That's firmly what I believe. I believe it's one of the hardest things to overcome and to walk away from and to not participate in. I think for some people, oh, look at all those Christians gossiping over there. But then there's always this concept about we're gossiping about other people, we're judging other people, and we judge people by the sins we don't commit. So there's this whole relative concept that there's always going to be something that other people don't do. Like, for example, and if I was a celebrity, I wouldn't be able to say this. I would be banned from acting if I said this out loud. But for example, as far as homosexuality goes, well, a lot of people get caught up on that as far as gay rights and marriage and all this stuff. Well, in reality, the Bible is very clear. It speaks against people having sex before they're married, sexual immorality. It talks about that a lot. And so here we can just laugh at, reruns of Friends, that sitcom, which that's all it is. And it's okay. But the moment someone's gay, and that's a sexual situation, see, we're judging other people's sins based on the ones we don't commit. So I think that that's another reason it can be easy to see someone's sins better. And they seem to be hypocrites when you may be judging them yourself based on the fact that you don't do that thing that they do. You know, I mean, they could even be struggling with alcoholism, and now they're a hypocrite to you, but really that's part of their struggle. Now, this last one, and I think this is kind of a culmination of all of it. I think Christians can appear to be hypocrites simply because of their personalities and or beliefs. Like, for example, and that's why I'm very, I want to be apolitical. I know that talking about politics doesn't help anything. It just divides people, and I don't want to divide people. I want to bring people together. But I do my best in the real world, in real life, not to talk about my personal beliefs so much. Now, granted, on my YouTube video series here, my YouTube channel, that's a different story. That's what you come here for. But in the real world, I don't go around talking about, well, I'm a vegan because, no. I want to keep my beliefs to myself, because I know that even my beliefs, if that can keep someone from, trusting in God and having faith in God, then it's not worth it. I don't want my beliefs to be the reason people don't believe, because that's what I think. I think it's easy for people not to believe in God, and so if they can pin it on a person because a person's simply annoying, then they can. So as a vegan, I don't want to be the annoying vegan. I want to be the vegan who's not judgmental at all. That's very important to me. All right. And then another thing is just personality. I don't want my personality to offend someone or distance them from believing in God. Like, yeah, I'm a confident person, and I have a certain method in the way I live my life, and I'm very vocal about certain things on YouTube in particular. But I think a lot of times if someone has an annoying personality, then to other people they can seem like they're a hypocrite, because people, again, it goes back to relative morality, that people have a concept of what a Christian is supposed to be. And yes, Christians are to be humble and meek and mild as Christ was. But if they don't fit that certain personality all the time, then that person maybe is too outspoken or opinionated. And people could even say that about me. People could say I'm too aggressive or I'm too direct. I need to be kinder. Yes, absolutely. I need to be kind. I need to be direct. But I also have to be honest. And in my honesty, maybe sometimes comes too much passion. So then that can rub somebody the wrong way because I think I'm a know-it-all. And I think that's the thing. If we're going to judge Christians or any religion for being a hypocrite, ultimately it comes back to us, doesn't it? It comes back to us judging another religion. So I made this about Christians, but we could put in any religion in there, and we could say, why are they hypocrites if they're saying they're doing this one thing and do another? And it's one thing if you're the president of a company that's about saying that you're against pornography, and then you get caught, some kind of deal with pornography. Obviously, that is a hypocritical thing too. There are going to be true hypocritical things, and then there's just daily life things. There's perception. It's complicated. So I don't think it's fair to any religion to say why there's so many hypocrites. I think it's a complicated issue, and I think these three things describe it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching my video. I'm Nick Shell.